Nigeria's insurance market has been proven to have a great potential given its position as Africa's largest economy, its substantial oil and gas reserves, and its young and growing population. But unfortunately, inadequate supply or support, from the government have made the insurance market in Nigeria fall short on that promise due to the part of volatility of growth in the country's real gross domestic product. Along the uneven enforcement of mandatory retail insurance lines, the sector was exposed to vulnerability during the aftermath of the Ash and SARS protest, which was hijacked by hoodlums and later saw many businesses destroyed and looted. However, with the rapid transition in digitalization over the past few months, businesses and organizations are getting accustomed to the new order. The Nigerian insurance industry seems to be served a portion of this development as insurance firms have learned to adopt the use of technology and abating the distribution of insurance products. Now, consequently, as much as digitalization plays a key role in advancing the insurance industry, it is established that the growth of digital economy likewise hinges largely on the involvement in insurance, especially with the rising rate of cyber threats. Well, let's now discuss the outlook for the insurance sector for 2021 in the face of a new normal. I have joining me live from our Abuja studios. He is the Commissioner for Insurance and Chief Executive Officer of the National Insurance Commission, Mr. Sunday Thomas. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure with your tight schedule for you to be able to come for our show. We really appreciate this. But first, I would like us to do an overview of the insurance sector. After the NSAS protest, many became worried about the stability of the industry in general. Take us through the situation of things even as we speak.
Well, the Nigerian insurance industry is, of course, part of the economy. It's having its own share of the economic issues that we have in Nigeria and probably globally. With respect to its activities, it's been doing its best within the quite a difficult environment. Looking at the area of creative thinking is going on, the distribution is going on. Of course, we know that the place of COVID-19 with respect to its implication for distribution is there. Operations generally have been hindered. But even within the difficult environment, the insurance sector has continued to operate. In 2020, for example, the gross premium income for the market is in the neighborhood of about 530 billion, which is far below the potential. We are working on these. There are other initiatives that have been lined up. I guess in the course of this session, we'll be able to talk about them, those things that have been set aside to be executed in 2021.
That will be very interesting, and we will definitely talk about that. You touched on premium income for the sector. Let's now look at what are these projections for 2021 and highlight some of those things that are set aside to make the sector stand out and contribute more to economic growth and development.
As I have said, the environment that started probably in 2020 has not left us. However, means and ways have been devised to address the issues that are hindering the development of the market. We'll be focusing on financial inclusion, looking at what we can do to bring in or to make insurance quite inclusive. To this end, we are licensing new companies, both as Takaful and as micro-insurance companies. We are also looking at areas of enforcement of the compulsory insurance covers, deploying the machineries of the states. We believe with this one, we should be able to up the gross premium income for the market, and in the process contribute effectively and meaningfully to the nation's GDP. So we are looking at adding at least a minimum of 25% to what it was in the year 2020.
That sounds very good. Now, I want us to talk about issues around recapitalization for insurance firm. It's been a big one. I think we've had some extensions and all of that. Take us through what this means and what it holds for the sector in general.
Well, you will excuse me on this. This is not an area that we will have to discuss here because the judiciary is having something to do with this particular issue. And I wouldn't want to say anything that will be we preempt the discussion at the judiciary. So I would rather ask us to shift this one to a later date.
Okay, well understood there. So let's now look at challenges in the sector. You see, a lot of challenges militating growth. We have even economic challenges. We've identified COVID-19. We also know issues around inflation. And whatever happens around the basic economy would also affect the insurance sector. So what are the challenges militating growth, these achievements of this heights that you would really like the sector to achieve at this time?
I think largely it's the citizens not being able to quite understand the benefit of insurance to their daily living. I've said it at several fora that insurance should be an oxygen for everyone to breathe on a daily basis at different levels, either at commercial level and at private level. Insurance is what can probably restore you and enable you to continue and sustain your living, either in your business or even in your daily living. It's important that a major challenge is we not being able to get the people to understand the benefit of insurance, as it were. And that I am aware that a lot is being done in this area. We are going to sustain this, create the needed awareness, support the relevant stakeholders, and make sure that we are able to disseminate and get the information to those who should know. Once we are able to do this, I believe that the buy-in of the citizens will definitely improve.
So I want to follow up with that. Are we doing enough of education and enlightenment? Because that is what is key at this time for Nigerians to understand the relevance, the importance of keying into insurance. Because when you talk to some people about it, they believe it's just something that should be on the other side. So how well are we equipping Nigerians with information to make them understand that in other climes, insurance is key?
We are taking the leadership in this area. And we believe that we are soliciting the cooperation of all the stakeholders to join us. We are already doing a lot in this area. And for this year, a substantial part of our budget have been set aside to accomplish this. We believe that the more they know, the more they understand our business, the more they buy in. And that we will continue to do. I'm aware also that the industry is also doing some things in this area. We believe that when the populace have a knowledge of what we are doing, they see the benefit, they no longer see it as a cost center, but something that brings benefit to them, buying in will no longer be difficult. So, but as it is now, we are not doing enough, but we are set to do much more than we have done in the past.
Let's look at digitalization, which is key at this time. How well is the insurance industry taking advantage of technology to reach out and, of course, to also carry out day-to-day business activities?
Again, this is another area that I want to believe that in the last 2 years, let's say, we have been setting the table to get everybody to jump in. At the Commission, we acknowledge the need for efficient delivery of services to all our clients. And the same thing we are asking the operators to do. As I speak right now, there are engagements that are going on between the Commission's technology group and the operators. We are trying to see how best we can get the industry to ride on the ship that has taken off. For us, our portal that have been phased, as part of those phases have been completed, policies and licensings and authorizations can be done now seamlessly. We are also going to returns analysis and the rest of that. And we have issued an IT standard for the industry. We believe all these ones will be taking us to digitalization of the industry. And the whole essence or objective of this is to ensure that service delivery is effected seamlessly.
How can we totally address the blighting perception of insurance in Nigeria, especially from a systemic level? Because it remains very important.
Well, I've said it. Of course, people will not get to know except they are informed. And that is the whole essence of the awareness creation, which I told you before, that we have set in all. We are not just talking about it. I told you that in our budget for this year, for example, a sizable amount has been set aside for that. The industry is doing something on their side. And collectively, we want to pump information into the marketplace. We want people to get to know what we are doing. At the same time, as the Commission and the regulator of the system of the industry, we will also make sure that the rights and obligations of all the stakeholders are preserved. For all the policyholders, for example, claims are paid as and when due. For the underwriters, whatever we can do to enhance their business and service delivery, we will do. So it's important for us to, for all of us to collaborate and make sure that this is achieved.
I'd like to go back to the NSAS protest and the effect, of course, hijacked by hoodlums, and we also had a share of this as a company. Now, what lessons do you think both big corporates and even small businesses, what do you think they should take out from this? And how it relates to insurance to avoid or recurrence?
First, for those who are victims of the NSAS, it's a pity that it happened the way it happened. But at the same time, I think there are lessons to learn from this. You remember that one of the first things I stated was the fact that insurance should be oxygen for businesses and for individuals. People should breathe and live insurance. Those businesses that were affected then that had insurance, I'm sure their position is totally different from those who didn't take insurance prior the NSAS. Issues, restorations of their businesses, I'm sure some of them by now will have gotten comfort from their insurances. It's a lesson for all of us that we need to preserve, especially in time of scarcity. We need to preserve the assets that we have already acquired. Relevant insurances should be taken. Approach your broker, approach your insurance companies, and they will give you what is appropriate for your the risk that are associated with your assets. There are lessons, a lot of lessons to learn from this. Again, I will also say that at different levels, rather than call on state government and the federal government for compensation, the insurance sector is designed to provide this level of cover. And I think you should take advantage of it.
Let me also ask this. For example, some car users would rather go for third-party insurance instead of going for comprehensive insurance. Some will say the claims take a lot of time before you get it through. Some will say you might not even get it. So how do we change this misconception about maybe some insurance firms? Or what are you doing as a body to make sure that things are done appropriately?
This is a lot about perception, I would say. At the same time, I will also not tell you here that we don't have issues of claims not paid promptly. But all these are being addressed. This might be some things that have happened in the past. In recent times, we have had cause to address issues like that. There are different fora for people to lodge their complaints where their rights and obligations or their rights are being trampled upon by any insurance operator. With the insurance, with the commission, we have the complaints bureau. You can submit your claims to the bureau. And I'm aware also the Nigerian Insurance Association, they also have a complaint forum where people can submit their claim, their complaints. So it's important for us to take advantage of these platforms and lodge our complaints. But beyond that, of course, we are those ones that are known to us. We are also addressing them and asking that the heaviest selling point is claims settlement. The moment we respond to claim settlements, people will see value in what we are offering, and I think there's been a lot of improvement in the market.
Now, as big as insurance is, let me ask you, Chief Executive Officer, how well are you getting support from government? What more do you want from government? And what about your laws? You have laws that that meet up with what you intend to achieve. I hope you're not dealing with archaic laws like what's happening in the oil and gas industry, talking about PIB and all of that. Yeah. What more do you want from government to improve the lot of the sector?
I think likely government has done so much for the insurance sector. I will tell you, it's not every jurisdiction that you have laws passed to make insurances compulsory like we have in Nigeria. Of course, the motor insurance is in most part, but building under construction is also one of the compulsory insurances. Public buildings is also one of the compulsory covers for which laws have been passed. And other covers, group life insurance, for example, under the Pension Reform Act 2004, reenacted in 2014, has also been made compulsory. I believe that these are ways in which government have assisted both the citizens and the insurance sector. However, I would say that the implementation or the enforcement of some of these provisions are quite key. And we are working with the relevant agencies of government to ensure that these compulsory covers are enforced. That is why we are soliciting for the buy-in of the stakeholders, the states, for example. Through the states, we believe there's a lot that can be achieved. And we are reaching out to some of our governors and trying to see how much they can assist us in this area. But I can tell you that so much has been done, but there is so much to be done because the potential in the insurance sector is huge, and we need to deploy it to the max. Right now, we are just scratching.
Almost finally, CEO, what about companies that refuse to maybe maintain payments of insurance and pension deductions? Is there anything that ICOM does to check and balance all of these companies when they fall foul of the law?
Well, I think largely this is within the purview of the Pension Reform Act, being superintended on by the National Pensions Commission. But I would say clearly, the law is very clear. You are supposed to arrange or take insurance, group insurance cover once you employ a minimum of 3 employees. It is mandatory. It is compulsory. I would expect probably the employees to take on their employers on this. It's as one of the demands. It is quite compelling. It is for their interest. So it's not as much as the penalty, but what are the benefits and what are staff losing when these things are not provided? State governments, employers of labor. I think it's something that we should take as something that is adding value to us as employers and also to the employees.
Okay, let's wrap up on this note. 2021, all of the projections, COVID-19 second wave. We've seen the figures, we've seen what's happening globally. What is your outlook for the insurance industry with all of these challenges that we face? Don't forget all the economic issues I talked about earlier, inflation, economic growth rates, a lot of issues affecting the economy. What do you see, what kind of industry do you see in 2021 for the insurance sector?
Well, life itself is full of challenges. We will continue to ride, even if it requires riding against the tide. But definitely, we are putting machineries in place. We will have to change our mode of operations. You just ask about having to digitalize the system. Operations will no longer, physical contact in the operations will now have to be reduced to the barest minimum, whereas electronic devices will have to be operated at the max. We believe that even with the challenges, the opportunities are still there. We believe that these risks, they are not just going to, they are not going to yield to the fact that there is COVID or there are other challenges and cease to exist. They will continue to exist. So it's for us to let the people know that they need insurance, even in such a difficult time as this. And if we can comfortably and conveniently convey this, there is no doubt about it, things will definitely look up. I believe that, yes, difficult situation, but it is in difficult times like this that we make provision for the unforeseen. That's my advice to the general public, is to make sure that they preserve what they have while they're aspiring to have more of what they need. It is important message for each and every one of us, because while those challenges, we will have to learn to live with them. We must continue to preserve what we have been able to acquire by way of assets.
I must thank you very much for your time, Commissioner for Insurance and the Chief Executive Officer of National Insurance Commission, Mr. Sunday Thomas. Thank you for spending your afternoon with us on Business
Thank
Nigeria.
you for having me.
Yes, we appreciate that.
I appreciate it.